got a lot going on here. Good Neighbor Alliance, CDBG, pre-con meeting is next week, so that will be proceeding here soon. The bathrooms are under construction and hopefully will be done by June 30th as well. And the Fleet restroom, I know there was some interest in that. Marsh Development has that project, and that's also scheduled to be done by June 30th. So,
All right.
so
Thank
quite a
you.
few things going on.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments for City Manager? None? We'll proceed on. Then we go to item number 2, the consent agenda by Councilman Johnson. If he's, hopefully he's here by the.
He should be.
Yes, ma'am. Then we go to a public hearing, item number 3, Ms. Arbol.
Sorry, Mr. Benning's texting me.
No problem. Say hi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So if you recall, last year you approved some updates to Chapter 33, which is the chapter in the city's Code of Ordinances that specifies the scope of services for the 5 core operational departments. Law enforcement, fire and emergency medical services, public works, park recreation and library, and community development and planning. Later in the year, you approved changes to the personnel rules and regulations, and we found recently that there was a conflict between the two, and so this is simply a cleanup with the conflict that we found in the personnel rules regarding contracts for executive staff. So we're just removing a few words from each department to fix that error. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No questions? Thank you, ma'am. We'll proceed to new business. What's going on, sir? Nice shirt.
Thank you.
And then new business, item number 4, staff report, Mr. McLaughlin.
CDBG?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the final step in the process. Nothing has changed from your last meeting on the proposed funding for next year. We've held 2 public hearings up to this point and put out the draft for a 30-day public comment period, which ended on May 17th. We received 1 comment from an individual who questioned the amount that was set aside for administration. The $50K that's in the proposed budget will cover assistance needed for the update to the 5-year CDBG consolidated plan. I do want to point out that the city's authorized to charge up to 20% towards planning administration. Over the past 4 years, we've charged less than 1%, or about $9,300 of the $1.5 million in community development block grant funds have been allocated. And nearly all the funding has been assigned to projects and programs over that time frame. And I suspect that will continue up until 2028 when we'll need to go back and update the next version of the 5-year consolidated plan. So I think we've done a good job maximizing the grant using in-house city resources to the greatest extent possible to maximize the impact of the community development block grant dollars. In terms of requested action, we're just seeking your authorization to submit the annual action plan to HUD, which is our application for next year's CDBG funding for the review and acceptance. And on Thursday, I'll go over again the proposed projects and program services that we anticipate awarding in next year's budget.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments, CDBG funds? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work that went into all of this, and I also appreciate that we're able to help the multiple applicants that had brought their applications forward. Sometimes going through things, it doesn't really occur to me anyway that might be possible. So I really appreciate. I believe Councilman Benning had mentioned let's just share it, have them share it. So I think it's great that we're able to help all of them.
Excellent. All right, thank you, sir. And we'll progress to item number 5. Back to you, Mr. McLaughlin. This is the Independence Village.
Mr. Pregler was the case planner. He'll be covering today's presentation. I'll handle it on Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. So Calhoun Cook has requested approval of the Independence Village preliminary plat. And as you can see on the map, that it's part of the tribute-specific plan. This is the first development within the tribute-specific plan area. And it encompasses the M1 land use section. So the major accesses into the subdivision will be from St. Andrews Drive. From the west, Greenbrier Drive will come in from the north and east, and then there will be a third access indirectly from Ben Franklin or Street A Drive, and I'll talk about that as I get further on in the presentation. So the land use, as I stated previously, is the tribute-specific plan area. The zoning will be medium-density residential. The uses will be all single-family residential homes. The lot sizes will range from 6,000 to 9,300 square feet. There'll be a total of 12 phases in this development. And as you can see on the map on the screen, there'll be 12. The 12 phases are identified on the map. Phases 1 through 3 will be built simultaneously, and they'll probably be submitted as one final plat. The total number of lots for the project will be 376 lots total, and the density on the project will be 3.44 homes per acre. Looking at the setbacks for this development, we have the front yard setback will be 10 feet. However, there'll be a 20-foot distance between the garage door and the edge of the sidewalk. So there'll be a 20-foot distance there to allow for cars to park on the driveway rather than encroaching into a sidewalk. So there'll be 20 feet there. There'll be a 5-foot interior side yard setback, a 10-foot street side setback, and a 10-foot rear yard setback. Regarding to the drainage on the property, you'll see on here that there are 2 detention basins on the east side of the development. All the drainage will flow from west to east. In the interim, there will be a temporary detention basin somewhere in these earlier stages to ensure that the water will flow into a drainage area before it flows off the site. And once the 2 detention basins are completed, the temporary basin will be removed. Access, as I stated, there'll be 4 accesses into the subdivision. The main access will be from St. Andrews Drive, is identified as number 1 on the star here. The second access, which will be built, will come from Francis Lewis Street, which is located right here. And I do want to kind of show you how this is going to function. So there is a proposed development just west of this project. It's for a charter school. And so the idea with this, the charter school will have access through both Buffalo Soldier Trail, which will be developed separately, as well as Ben Franklin Boulevard, also known as Street A, that you saw on the Tribute Specific Plan area. So here's Francis Lewis Street here, and this is, right here is going to be the location of the Independence. So you can see this is the secondary access will come from the Independence, come north of the school, and will ultimately be able to access either St. Andrews Drive or Buffalo Soldier Trail. So there'll be signalized accesses at both locations. Now, Ben Franklin Boulevard will be developed from St. Andrews to Buffalo Soldier in conjunction with the school development right here. So let me go back. So the third access will be off of off of Greenbrier here, and the fourth access will be off of Greenbrier as well. Again, these will be developed in subsequent phases of the project. And there's also a temporary access located right here. The development code requires that there's at least 2 accesses for every 100 lots, and so this temporary access is here until such time as the secondary access is constructed. Okay, so let me get to the roadways themselves. So St. Andrews Drive will have a roadway width. Oh, I apologize.
I'm sorry, before,
Sure, go ahead.
so the school would be occupying the space that's for, it wouldn't be in the commercial, it wouldn't be on 92, it would be the next one,
That's correct. So the
so,
H3.
okay.
H3.
And
And a little bit of
is that, I could be reading it wrong because it's really tiny, but is that a residential zone right now, and we're gonna have to change it, or
You're talking about the
H-
number H3?
3? Yeah.
So charter schools would be allowed in any zoning district. They're exempt from local zoning regulations. So they're allowed in any type of zoning district, which would include anything in the specific plan as well.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure, you're welcome. Okay, so let me get to the roadway specifics. So St. Andrews Drive will have a roadway width of 48 feet. There will be a 10-foot wide multi-use path on both sides of the street when it's developed. However, it will be built in phases, so there'll be a half-width right-of-way will be constructed initially, and then the northern half of St. Andrews will be developed at such time as warranted for when future development is completed. So through Greenbrier Drive, again, which is this section right here, we'll have a roadway width of 52 feet. There'll be 4-foot sidewalks on both sides of the street. And again, much like St. Andrews Drive, there'll be a half-width right-of-way. It'll be constructed initially, and then the full width will be developed at a later time. And then finally, the internal streets will have a width of 28 feet with 4-foot sidewalks. And then there will be an 8-foot utility/landscape buffer between the edge of the sidewalk and the property line. There'll be an 8-foot wide landscape strip there on both sides of the street. So with that, this concludes staff's report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Just had a street question. Can you go back to the first one that had like the big streets on it? Where you had like Greenbrier, yeah, the one before that, I think.
Right there.
Okay. I got it. Okay, so Greenbrier's gonna come down and then come down, it's gonna come south.
Exactly. Right out this
Okay,
way.
right on. All right.
And then, were you here when he said Street A is the Ben Franklin
Yeah, Ben
one?
Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ben Franklin,
Ben Franklin.
is
We'll
Street
connect
A,
the two.
and that's also gonna be where the school is.
Yes.
That's right.
North and south.
Right here.
Okay, right there in that place.
Right.
Okay, so there's still gonna be, according to the other map. Okay, so then to the west of that, so you'll have Independence, you have the school, which is H3 on this map, and then C3 is commercial right there on the road, and then MU2 above that is medium residential,
Mixed use.
mixed use.
Yeah. And these have not been developed yet.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
But the plan is to build these into commercial and/or mixed-use developments.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll proceed to our next item, item number 5, Mr. Laughlin, again.
Oh, okay. So this is city-initiated abandonment request for 2 alleyway segments in the vicinity of North Avenue and Sears Center, shown on the map with the memo. The process begins with the city council's authorization to proceed, followed by 2 public hearings, one before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then city council at a later date. When instigated this matter is a complaint about the east-west alley being gated at its entrance from North Avenue. The current property owner to the north, where the hot rod shop is, believes a former property owner received permission from the city in the mid-2000s to install a gate to stop graffiti and vandalism for occurring on the property. We have no record of a permit being issued. Frankly, it would be contrary to code to issue a right-of-way permit to fence off a public alleyway for private use. So based on a review, the alleys never fulfilled their original intent of providing vehicular circulation through the neighborhood. A segment to the east that carried the alley through to Taylor Avenue was previously vacated. The right-of-way extending Freehage between North and Taylor Avenues was also abandoned, cutting off the north-south circulation. So frankly, we don't see any public purpose for continuing their use as alleyways in those locations. We consulted with the adjoining property owners, and they agree with this application moving forward. As part of the process, we'll be reaching out to utility companies, and any easements that are needed will be secured in advance of the abandonment being recorded. If the abandonment is approved, the property will revert to the adjoining property owners up to the center line of the alleyways. It's my understanding that the owners are working out a separate private ingress-egress easement to preserve shared driveway access from North Avenue. That would be recorded simultaneous with the abandonment. So again, at this stage, we're just requesting authorization to proceed with the public notices and hearings and notifications to the affected parties, and to affirm that this is the best course of action. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I read that they're 20 feet wide, so it's 10 and 10 basically, right? So this property owner gets 10 feet, this property owner gets 10 feet, right?
That's correct.
And that's gonna be marked by us to say, here's your 10 feet?
Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Rodriguez, there'll be a legal description and a survey
Okay.
attached to the resolution when it comes before you for public hearing. And, when that's recorded at the county recorder's office, there'll be a separate action to, basically it'll revert to the adjoining property owners at the midpoint,
So that fence that's there now illegally, will now be legal in is that their 10 feet? Or is that more than their 10 feet they're gonna get?
Well, and, again, so that's what the ingress-egress easement is going to cover. We provide them with some sample language that will address the gating, so both property owners have access, along
Okay.
with any affected utility companies. SSVC has power poles in that alley. They already have a key to that gate, but if there are any other underground utilities, they'll also need keyed access
Okay.
to the gate.
All right, so you mentioned access, right, the gates and things like that to the properties, like the property owners and stuff like that. And you said that's something they can do amongst themselves.
That's right, privately.
Okay. All right, and then I was looking around the graphic where it said the previous alley was, like back in 80-something, it was abandoned, but it's not on here. So is that the one between the two, is that like the line between the two churches?
Yeah, so what you see on the map, if it was displayed, that east-west alley would continue all the way to Taylor Avenue. And so that segment where it intersects the north-south alley
Okay.
continued on.
Oh, gotcha.
And that segment was abandoned in connection with the church's development.
Okay, I got you now. Gotcha, okay.
Good. Good. Any other questions? All right, so that will conclude we'll go to call the public comments from council staff, and that will conclude our meeting on Thursday. Now we go to item Bravo, Tourism and Cochise County Tourism Council, presentation by Ms. Judy and Kate Cox. Hey, Ms. Judy. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, mayors and members of council. Thanks for your time today, and let me see if I can get this going. There we go. Okay. So it's been a long time since I've presented to council on tourism, so I'm excited to do this here today. So what we'll do today is we'll look at our current strategies that we're doing and some of the results that we're getting those to demonstrate the effectiveness of the program. And if you've looked at your PDF that you received before this, you'll see there's a few ads sprinkled throughout the program. And I did that because I think that since you're already here, you're not really my tourism audience. So I wanted to put those in there so you could see them. Okay, so first let's take a look at travel by the numbers. So I'd like to define for you what a tourist is. And this is kind of a concept that you don't really think about until you get into the weeds. So a tourist is defined on the industry level as someone who's traveled 50 miles or more and spends at least one night. So now we're looking at, kind of a defined set. So within the state, tourism, the state has enjoyed almost 41 million visitors in 2021. That's the latest data. It came out in 2022, so we'll get 22 data in a couple of months in 23. It's billions of dollars in spending and tax revenue, and it's created more than 167,000 jobs within the state. And what that equates to is $738 in tax savings for every Arizonan, which I think that's pretty cool. And I do want to point out the headline on this slide that tourism is Arizona's #1 export industry. And you might think, how is tourism an export? What the heck are you taking home? You're taking home memories and experiences and photographs. It is classified as an export industry. Okay, so when we dig down into Cochise County and we take a look at what that data is, we can see, the number of jobs. I don't need to read that to you. It accounts for over 6% of our local workforce. And we look at the millions of dollars that is spent here for tourism activities in Cochise County. And then it's generating $14.7 million in local taxes, and that's $117 for every Cochise County resident. That's every man, woman, and child, not just the people who have jobs. So it's really significant. Make sure I'm flipping the right page here. Okay, so before we go too far, I think that everyone on council, maybe Carolyn was here when we did our brand development. I don't remember, so forgive me if this is a repeat. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit because our brand development strategy is really one of the driving factors behind our tourism marketing, our public affairs, what we're doing with Weston redevelopment and the sports fields, economic development. It really wraps everything together, and it's important. So I just want to spend a few minutes on that. So back in 2015, I think it was 2015, we contracted with a company and they did a very extensive discovery process to gather through written surveys, interviews, focus groups, and those things that are listed here on the slide to get a tremendous body of data from people that live locally, people who may come here to visit, people who have visited here, and then also they took a look at our competition for a city, for business development, for relocation, for retirement, for tourism. There are competitors out there in the state. And so then they took all of that data and boiled it down into something digestible, and then they boiled it down again into this nice word cloud that I'm showing for you to move things along. So some of the things that might jump out to you are mountains, beautiful, military, weather, quiet, community. So all of those wonderful positive things, those are our positive attributes that we capitalize on. You might see some things that aren't so nice looking, like boring, small. But those things are okay too, because like any SWOT analysis, those tell us what our weaknesses are and what our opportunities are. And those things have been leveraged by some of the wonderful work that we're doing here with the West End redevelopment, with economic development, with sports development. So those are okay words. We're okay with them. So the column there on the right-hand side, the great temperature, the mountains and scenery, the outdoor recreational opportunities, all of those things came out as things that have potential here and things that people already enjoy here. So those are the things that we focus on for our tourism campaigns. I included Fort Huachuca on there because it's really important. Okay, so to boil that down a little bit more, the attributes of our attractions are, of course, our temperate climate, outdoor recreation, the mountains, the beautiful views, the scenery that we have here, and just the atmosphere, the friendly feeling, the small town feeling, there's the happy feeling that you have in Sierra Vista. And a shout out to Laura's team. They do a terrific job, putting on parties and making people happy. So now this ad that I've included here actually isn't a tourism ad. It's an economic development ad. And I put it in there because it's gorgeous, but it also talks about how we can take the wonderful attributes of Sierra Vista and create, as it says in the ad, a work-life balance. So we can just, it says discover life elevated. And it really talks about some of the great things that you can do here if you visit, and also if you live and work here. So that information that we gathered in the discovery process, they put into a brand platform. And that starts with an audience, a frame of reference, point of difference, and a benefit. So the audience is those seeking an ideal climate and a dynamic opportunity. And I want to back up here for a minute and say every word that's in this brand platform was specifically chosen. It wasn't sloppily done. It wasn't hastily done. This was very, very specific. So the frame of reference that we're looking at is Sierra Vista is a high desert city. and it enjoys unmatched ecological diversity and topographic complexity of our beautiful Sky Islands. And the point of difference, well, how are we different than our competitors? With the richness of our commercial hub, our pristine environment, and our distinguished natural environment. And Sierra Vista's natural environment truly is world-renowned. Now, the benefit of here is that it allows for nature, business, and culture to thrive. So if we take it all together without my pointing and gesturing, it's for those seeking an ideal climate and dynamic opportunity. The high desert city of Sierra Vista enjoys the unmatched ecological diversity and topographic complexity of the Sky Islands and adds the richness of a commercial hub to a pristine and distinguished natural environment, allowing nature, business, and culture, hummingbirds, unmanned birds, and snowbirds to thrive. So we take that and we roll it forward. So we rolled it into, I'm sure you've all seen our graphics, so let me talk about them a little bit. So hopefully it shows up on the slides that you're looking at, but if you look closely at the mark that looks like an M and a W, that's really mountains and water. So you might notice that there's a slight gradient as you go across it from left to right. It goes from lighter to darker, and it goes from kind of squiggly and scruffy on the left side to really defined on the right side. And that indicates that Sierra Vista is growing. There's movement. It's becoming more solid. It's becoming more defined. And it's becoming more substantial. And that concept is reflected also in the fonts that we selected. This is called the slab font because it has heavy lines and it has those serifs, the little hookies on the ends of the S and the R. And it's, again, substantial. And it tells us this is a place. It's not something to pass through. It is a place. And we've selected the colors, the blue for our skies, the green for our beautiful green landscape, and then the brownish gold because Sierra Vista, of course, well, there's some brown here, and we also see it in Fort Huachuca. So I want to point out, too, and this is one of my favorite things about our logo, or about our branding, is the I. If you look at the dots on the I on the Sierra and Vista, they're a little bit higher than the S and the V at the top of those letters. So that, again, answers back to our elevation and our opportunity and our uplifting and our beautiful skies that we have here. So all of those concepts are wrapped up in this graphic. And I know, Mayor, you're looking at me like, what? It's a creative thing. Just go with it.
Yes, ma'am. I'm tracking.
I know. You're probably very. That's okay.
I'm tracking.
It's okay. So from all that, from the research that our branding company did, and also our own research, and with information from the Arizona Office of Tourism, we've been able to identify some of our target markets for tourism. So we've got our demographic markets. I won't read those to you, but you see that they're right there. And then also our demographic markets, who they are, and our psychographic markets, what they like to do. So those last two, the demographic and the psychographic, those hit nationwide. So even though we might be targeting just these geographic areas, our messages are going in all these other areas. So we might be targeting hikers. Well, that's going to go in Phoenix. It's also going to go in New Hampshire. So it's going all across the nation. And I'm going to show you that. So here, this is our visitor heat map. I mean, I got this map from Placer, and I know we've talked about Placer a little bit. That's the wonderful data gathering tool that we're using for Parks and Rec, for my department, for Tony's department. So you can see the darker areas is where people are coming from. Now, the orange circles, those are my geographic targets. Are there other places? Heck yeah. I circled them here in blue. So given the right resources, we'd love to go after those. Right now, we don't have those resources, but that's okay. They're out there, and people are still coming here, and we know that we're getting them with our psychographic and our demographic data. And I do want to point out, in the last year, we've enjoyed nearly 500,000 visitors. 500,000 visitors. And there we go.
To Cochise County.
Nope, to Sierra Vista. $500,000 to Sierra Vista. And that's from Placer, so we were able to gather that through that. Excuse me. So are we hitting the audiences? Yes, we are. So I'd like to point out the age. In the age demographic, I was targeting millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, and that's the majority of the folks who are coming here. The education level, bachelor's degree and higher, yep, we're getting that, but maybe more, or it's college and some college. So maybe we should lower that down a little bit and look for those different markets. Gender, if you're looking at why we target mostly women than men, it's because, sorry guys, women make the travel decisions. They are more influential in making travel decisions than men are.
You
But
wouldn't know anything about that.
it's 51-49, 54-46, it's okay. And I also included home ownership. This was some interesting data that I pulled out of Placer, and I think that it shows some stability and some financial affluence of the people who are coming here to Sierra Vista. So I threw that in there. And here we go. And so digging a little bit deeper, looking at our household income, we can see that, yes, we are hitting that market with 46.7% earning $75,000 annually or higher. Okay, so what are they doing when they get here? Now, that information I was not able to pull, so I went to the Arizona Office of Tourism, and this is from calendar year 2022. That's the latest data, and they only do it by region. So Tucson and Southern Region includes Pima, Santa Cruz, Graham, Greenlee, and Cochise County, so it's a little broad, but I think that it's also illustrative of what we have here. So we look at what we're doing, what folks are coming here to do regionally versus the national norm, and in this area, you can see that we're exceeding regionally in outdoor activities and in cultural activities. Now, cultural activities includes things like going to museums, going to historic sites, going to the BLM things. So it's not just going to the symphony, for example. So it's a different kind of culture. And then when you dig down into that a little bit more and you look at the activities and experiences, what are they doing once they get here? What are they actually doing? They're going sightseeing, hiking and backpacking. They're going to our museums, the national and state parks, and then, of course, they're doing bird and wildlife watching. And as you know, we are the hummingbird capital, and a lot of people come here to enjoy the bird wildlife that we have here. So I thought, well, can I show that? Can I really demonstrate that people are coming here for the national parks? And I was able to get this information again from the Arizona Office of Tourism. The state and national parks do report their visitation, and we'll see 2022 numbers versus 21. Coronado National Memorial saw a 1.2% increase, and Kartchner Caverns State Park saw a 30.8% increase in visitation over a one-year period. Now, I also say, the success of our tourism marketing program is where the rubber hits the road. It's what is it doing with our tax revenue? And I think that's a really important number to look at. So I watch our extended state tax revenue. I watch it pretty closely. So the blue circles that you'll see here are the annual amounts. And then, of course, that data is across the bottom of the screen. The green line is the trend line. So we can see over the last decade, the tax revenue is trending upward. And it is about a 60% increase in the last 10 years. It's about $500,000. And in the last 12 months, we can say we had 2.02 million visitors to hotels. So I also look at restaurant and bar tax. What's that doing? Well, that's actually doing a heck of a lot better. So again, the annual amounts are the blue dots. The trend line is the green. And over the past decade, we've seen an 85% increase in tax revenue. Yes, we've had a population growth of about 2,000 people. So I think the 85%, either they're eating out a lot, or I can say, yes, we are being successful in our tourism program with people coming here. So here I've got a few ads, and they're all going to pop up at once since you don't get to see them. In the past, I have put them in the council reading room, but for the past several years, council members haven't been using it, so I stopped doing that. If you want me to do that again, I can do that. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have at this point.
Yes, ma'am. You go ahead.
So, when you just said the extended stay, how long, how long is that? You might have said it before.
It's the tax that you pay in a hotel when you stay the night.
Yeah, but what defines it, Judy?
Like how many
nights?
days when you're saying extended stay?
Oh, let's see if I can remember how that's
sorry.
defined. That's okay. No, I mean, you pay the tax if you stay one night, and
Right,
it's,
right.
it's extended stay versus a bed tax, because
Okay.
I think by state law, Chuck, jump in if I'm wrong, at 28 days, you wouldn't have to pay it anymore, but we do an extended stay because we have so many TDYs to come here.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, so, yeah, but you have to stay at least one night to collect the tax, so.
Right, right. Okay, thanks. There's 28 days, I got it.
So it's one days to infinite days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to review, so you're saying 500,000 people in 1 year to Sierra Vista?
Yes, 500,000 visitors
That's why I thought it was the county. It's a lot. It's like, wow,
is.
All right,
it's a great number.
great.
I like that I didn't realize how big birding was. I get it now because I saw a picture of an elegant trogon. I think that's what it's called. I guess they're in the area right now and they're like courting each other and barking. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go out there at 8 o'clock in the morning and find this thing because it looks beautiful. And I'm not a birder, but I totally get it now when I see these pictures. I think you're doing a great job, you and your team. And I like seeing that it has made a difference because anecdotally we can say, yeah, it's making a difference all the time because we see it, but seeing it in data format really, especially it's much more impactful now that I'm seeing, 500,000 people in a year just in Sierra Vista visiting. That's amazing. I'm glad the word's getting out through your efforts and possibly through maybe some people are just eating out more. Yeah. And thanks for explaining the blame. I wasn't here. I was elected right after you came up with the logo and everything. I had no idea how much thought went in behind it, and it's really cool. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Thank you, Councilmember Humphrey.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I appreciate the data as well, especially the Pacer. It seems to be a much better option than previous stuff we've spent money on, because I'm not really a fan of putting a lot of money to marketing companies that don't give us any feedback or any data that we can really look and say. They can tell us that we get clicks or whatever that means to whoever you ask, but I do like the data in this format that kind of shows you, obviously, like I mentioned before, and we can't see the data from people that come from other countries. That's not shown. So that number is probably short from what actually people come visit because we can't track that at this time, but that's a good number to have, kind of a baseline. But if you look at license plate at shopping centers and things like that, or events that we have from other countries, obviously it shows that we do have a lot of visitors that come, and there's no way to track how many. But so that's also keep that in mind. And on top of that, whatever that number is, we do have those other visitors that come and spend money here in our area, which is great.
Oh, can I just add on
Yeah.
to what you said about? Did you actually? Maybe I'm not remembering correctly. Did you ever show us like a map of other countries, like people from visiting from outside the U.S.? I feel like you have, but maybe not.
I collect data of people visiting from other countries in the visitor center. So if they've come to the visitor center, I will have
Okay.
that data. We do get information requests occasionally from other countries, but I don't really have a way to track people actually coming here from other countries.
And what languages are available when you go to the visitor center? What languages can you find the information in?
We have our information in English and Spanish, and then we also have German and French Arizona state travel guides, as well as English.
You were wondering about. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, and I appreciate this explanation on the logo. Before I came on council, and I was just a regular Sierra Vistan. I was like, why are they doing this? Why are they spending money on changing the logo for Sierra Vista? Why would they do that? But being on this side of things and being proud of our logo now and seeing it, I talked to the guys at the yard, the trash truck, and they drive by. Like, I love seeing those trash trucks drive by because it has got a huge logo on it.
Yes, yes.
I think one of them doesn't, but most of them do. And I like that. I like that we have that brand. obviously you drive into the city now from 90, and we have that big sign that is the logo. It's our brand right there. It's kind of hard to take pictures in front of because it's in a weird spot. I'll try, but it's kind of trafficy. I don't recommend it. But yeah, I appreciate the information.
They're like, yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, I appreciate the information, Judy. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks so much for presenting this to us. It's really great to see like the trends over time. It's to kind of see how things are moving upwards and stuff. For the brand platform, I really liked to see under the benefit hummingbirds, unmanned birds, and snowbirds. I thought that was really cool because that is a big part of what we offer here and everything. And then at Ramsey Canyon, I was amazed at how many birders there are there. I was waiting to use the restroom there, and there was people like talking. They have like pictures and stuff, and it was really cool to see how enthused about our birds here. And then Ramsey Canyon, they also have a hummingbird live cam too. If anybody wasn't aware of that, where you can any time of the day or whatever, you can go in there and you can see catch hummingbird eat up at the feeder. So that's really cool. But thanks so much for this.
You bet. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I love the heat map.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple things I want to mention. This may be Judy's last presentation to us in her role here. She's retiring a week from Friday, so we will greatly miss her. But just for some historical perspective, 25 years ago or so, we had a contract with the Chamber to do our tourism. So I think the community's always innately recognized the value of tourism. And at that time, we brought the tourism effort in-house. We had a tourism commission, and there was a guy named Les Orchakowski, you may know about him, that was on the commission at the time, and insisted on metrics. What are we spending our money on? How do we measure, what we're getting back in return for it and all that? And of course, back then, there wasn't the sophisticated tools that we have today, and the software that Judy is now doing. But he spurred us on to get better and better at it over a period of time to where now we have all this data and we can really not only tell you, what you're getting for your money, but that it's well spent and it's being targeted in the areas that are most fruitful to us. So it's really been a big evolution for us, and thanks to Judy and her group for getting us to this point.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, Marty?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Judy. This was great.
And happy retirement, ma'am.
Yes.
We go to our next presentation. It's City of Service City Council presentation. Mrs. Cox, I think it is.
No, Kate's next.
Kate, yes.
More tourism.
More tourism. Got it.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you so much for having me. My name is Kate Cox. I'm the Cochise County Tourism and Economic Council Marketing Coordinator. I have my BS in Agribusiness with an emphasis in Marketing and Communications from ASU and MBA in Marketing Services from UNLV. I worked at the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority and am a certified tour professional. So just a little background about me. I was asked to come today and talk to you a little bit about what we do for CCTEC and what we are. So CCTEC is the Cochise County Tourism and Economic Council. It is defined as an intergovernmental agreement, which is a governmental cooperative effort. Funds are received from each entity to cooperatively invest in marketing efforts to promote Cochise County as a destination for tourists, as well as economic investment. The communities are bound by geography and a common vision to enhance the regional economy and share a passion for the region with potential visitors, businesses, and residents. And right now the members include Bisbee, Douglas, Sierra Vista, Wilcox, and Cochise County itself. To give you an idea of some of the activities by community that we look at for tourism, this is a nice breakdown for you. Bisbee for outdoor adventures, birding and wildlife watching, wine and cuisine, and culture and history. And you'll see why we use those in just a moment. We have Bisbee, Douglas, Sierra Vista, and Wilcox, and everything from hiking, road cycling, off-roading, mountain biking, climbing, golfing, stargazing, of course, birding, wildlife watching, our international cuisine, our breweries, and then, of course, our history. And down here we have our national state parks and our state park, Kartchner Caverns. We've broken these down into 4 marketing pillars. And these 4 pillars are outdoor adventures, birding and wildlife watching, wine and cuisine, and culture and history. And the reason that we did this is so that we can really focus our marketing efforts on things that each of our communities have and each of our communities have thriving, so that when we are doing our marketing, we know exactly who we're targeting. And like a table, each needs the other ones to stand. So it's really important for our outdoor adventures and our culture and history to have both, because they help balance each other out in each of our communities. Even though one might have a real focus on history, the outdoor adventures are just as important. So why do we promote what we do? CCTEC has participated in a wide variety of research efforts, and some of those have included studies with Northern Arizona University, which we did through the Arizona Office of Tourism. And that was a study that was done in the past when we had a couple more participants in the CCTEC. So we really had a good look at all the different varieties of things that people are looking for when they're coming to Cochise County. We also use NEAR data. NEAR is very similar to Placer. It doesn't have quite the extent of data that Placer does, but it does give me some really good opportunities to look at what people are looking for when they're coming to Cochise County. And then, of course, our Arizona Office of Tourism reports, and you saw some of those that Judy had put forth today, like the lodging performance. According to NEAR data, these are the top 15 metro areas visiting Cochise County. Phoenix is number 1. And I actually wanted to really showcase these that are in circles, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But LA, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and Chicago, Illinois are really important to our marketing campaigns as we go forth and we start talking about our Visit Arizona initiatives and the grants. So keep those in your mind. And these are for day trips and for overnights. So if you're looking at our overnights, that could be anything from 2 nights on. According to Facebook analytics data, these are the top 10 cities that are interested in visiting. So we've got those who are visiting and those who are interested in visiting. And you can see LA, Dallas, and Chicago, Illinois keep popping up. So when we look at some Google Analytics data and some Facebook Analytics data for ages, and these ages in the orange are the same blocks as they are in the pink and purple, if you are like me and you have a hard time reading them. So you can see that our ages are relatively across the board, which is great because that means we've started capturing our Gen X's, our millennials, our Gen Z's, and that's something that we really wanted to start doing when I came on board about 6 years ago. We had really been capturing our 65 plus, our 55 to 64s, and we really wanted to start capturing a younger audience because we were looking at that outdoor adventure, those birders, those different, like I said, we broke those up into those pillars so that we could really capture lots of different demographics. And as you'll see in just a moment, that gives us an opportunity to catch different household incomes. Our Facebook page likes, just to give you an idea, is 3,900, and our Facebook page reach is 45,000. And then I just looked today, and our website visits since January of this year is almost 19,000.
When did you launch the Explore Cochise Facebook page?
So that would be. Do you mean the new one or the?
Whichever one has the 3,900 likes. I don't.
Oh, the
Your-
Facebook page.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's been around for a long time. But when I started, it only had probably 100.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah, so
all right.
it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that if we go back, the interesting thing is that our engagement and our reach, if you can see here, is quite extensive. And even though we don't have as many likes, for example, I did and you'll see the post coming up too. I did something as generic as a happy birthday Cochise County post, and it had double-digit thousands likes. So, but not necessarily, or reach, not necessarily that many likes. So I know we're reaching people even if they're not liking the page. Okay, so looking at NEAR data again, and just a reminder, that's similar to Placer. Here are some demographics of people who are visiting Cochise County. And is this my slide number 8? Sorry. So to give you an idea, real wages averaged $67.5 thousand in 2022, and average household incomes averaged about $88,000 back in 2022, way back in 2022. And so that gives you an idea as to where we are capturing. So we're capturing a good amount of the average American. And according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, those between the ages of 25 and 65 plus fall into that large bar we have there under income of 30 to 74,000. And in fact, only 15% of households are making over 150K as of 2022. So we are really doing a great job of capturing the market that we're shooting for. So let's talk a little bit more about what we do and how we do it. We provide print media, digital media, online radio, social media, press releases, conferences and trade shows, sponsorships, familiarity tours, travel writers, hero submissions, which is help a reporter out, television, streaming television, and we have a band Wango passport. And these are the ones we're going to be talking about today. The first one I wanted to share with you is our campaign update. We started a Get Real. So it's Get Real in Cochise County. And the idea is that everything is, we want you to have a real experience. So it's real birding, it's real outdoor adventure. It's nothing faux, it's the real deal down here in Cochise County. And it's real open, wide spaces. So explore wide open spaces in Cochise County, from hiking to biking, rock climbing to camping, experience real adventure. Discover the real West, lifeless birds, and real friendly communities. Then kick back under star-studded skies and savor real local wine. Step away from it all and get real. And these are just a couple of our ads to give you guys an idea. One of the things we do is we use the Rural Co-op. And the Rural Co-op is through Arizona Office of Tourism, and it gives us $1 per dollar. So this year we'll have up to $50,000 that we can utilize, and AOT will match our $50,000, which is a really great opportunity for us as a rural DMO, designated marketing organization. And these are just some of the ways that we can utilize that money. These are the ways that I've utilized it in the past. Through Arizona Highways has been an awesome digital campaign. Texas Monthly, we're going to see something about that coming up. You'll see a play ball ad. You'll see my Tucson official travel guide ad. And then, of course, we'll talk about the band Wango passport. And I've been talking about near mobile location data all day. So here's that play ball ad. Make your next adventure a home run, with some of our great photos of overlooking a mountain area, some bikers, and of course some ladies tasting wine in Wilcox. And then we've got the Chiricahuas in the background with some of our sandhill cranes, some great authentic Mexican cuisine, and then some mountain cyclists in the Dragoons. And both of these have really good turnouts for us. This one is our sponsored content on Texas Monthly, and as you can see, I featured the Cove, the San Pedro House, and the Coronado National Memorial from Sierra Vista. And this was a great sponsored blog for us. And this is that Happy Birthday Cochise County that I was talking about. So 13,000 people reached. And even though we didn't have very many engagements, a lot of people paid attention. So let's talk really fast about what is a FAM tour. It's a familiarization tour, and they're for travel writers and tour operators. And tour operators are the people who would be taking people on tours of Cochise County. And the purpose of them is to encourage visitors, provide a means of free or recurring advertising. And it just costs us hotel, food, and the opportunity to go to attractions. So we're not necessarily paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this for us, and we get onto blogs, we get onto other social media, we may get into magazines, and in addition, the hotels and the restaurants and the attractions, they get mentioned as well. So in appreciation for donating, they get mentioned, so they get a bonus. It also gains us more tours for the area. So FAM tours are developed through myself. I reach out to people who are interested in the area. I get so many people commenting that they would like to come see Cochise County, Sierra Vista, Bisbee, and we set up a FAM tour for them. There are lots of itineraries on explorecochise.com, so it gives them an idea, and then I manage them. This is just one of the FAM tours that we've done. We did it with Phoenix with Kids and Tucson with Kids. It was a family of 5 from Scottsdale, Arizona. Their e-newsletter had 3,500 subscribers. They've got a great Facebook following and Instagram following. They went to Kartchner Caverns. They did a hummingbird banding. They went to Pizzeria Mimosa, Julie and Sammy's. They stayed at Sierra Suites. They did a Ramsey Canyon Preserve, and of course, they went to the Cove, which they loved. HARO is Help a Reporter Out, and I get tons of these. I get about 6 of them a day, 6 to 8, and what it means is I get the opportunity to submit articles, and if I see an opportunity, even a small opportunity, where one of our communities or Cochise County as a whole, I can submit an article related, then I will, and these are ones that I've submitted Sierra Vista for. I also had the opportunity to be a speaker at the National Tour Association talking about marketing a diverse region, which was interesting because I have, each of our communities is so unique. It talked about that platform and how we work those pillars into our marketing campaigns. The last thing I wanted to talk about before I give you a little bit of insight into our Visit Arizona initiative, which is the grant program, is our Cochise County Action Ticket. And I hope each of you signs up for this. It's explorecochise.com and cochise-county-action-ticket. That's my sales pitch. And what it does is it promotes the county by providing discounts and deals for local attractions. And pass holders can check in along the way and earn points to redeem entries for the quarterly prize and grand prize giveaway drawings. And each of the communities has been incredibly awesome. Wilcox is this quarter's giveaway. They have a hotel stay, 2 wine tastings, a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 museum passes for 2. So that's just the 1 quarter win. This gives you an idea of our marketing accomplishments. So we've got Playball Magazine, Rova Magazine, the Arizona Official State Travel Guide. So our circulation is incredible, in addition to online readership. Then we also have Go Travel Sites, which we use, which is a skyscraper advertisement, digital advertisement. And people click on it, and I get about 45 requests per week asking for our Cochise County attractions map. And then we mail these out. And I get, like I said, I get about 45 requests a week for those. So this is the Arizona Office of Tourism Visit Arizona Initiative grant. We requested $249,000 and received 64% of our request, which was about $159,000. Right now, the grant is active. We have 2 projects on it. The first one is with Channel 12, Tegna. We do an in-state program with Phoenix and Tucson, an out-of-state program with Chicago, Dallas, and Los Angeles. There's those cities. They provide us with video production services in kind, streaming television, digital media placement, advertising assets, KPI monitoring. It's so successful, they use us as a case study. We blow them out of the water. Here is the video that they've created for us.
There's a whole new way to experience Arizona. Get real in Cochise County. Discover real history at Karchner Caverns, the real Wild West, and real yum at Apple Annie's. Enjoy bird watching to wine tasting in our vineyards, hiking and biking to camping in Chiricahua National Monument. There are real experiences for adrenaline junkies and glampers alike. Real adventures are waiting in wide open spaces. It's time to get real. Explore Cochise County.
That was really good.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was.
30 seconds.
I'm like, yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah, right? Right?
Except for the open fire part, but that's all right. We're not gonna talk about that.
It was okay. We had firemen there. We had firemen there. They were in the background.
The video on YouTube?
It goes on YouTube. It actually goes on streaming television to Chicago, LA, Dallas, Fort Worth, Tucson, and Phoenix. We had 1.2 million streaming television ads delivered to a custom audience. Our custom audience are outdoor enthusiasts, family, travel, wine enthusiasts, and younger families. Our view to completion rate, which means people who watch it all the way through, watch all 30 seconds, 97.37%. The total number of watched hours, 10,000. That's only a 30-second commercial. 99.59% of streaming TV ads were shown, that shouldn't say October, were shown on connected TVs throughout the campaign. So that means on the big screen. 177,000 unique households have been reached. Now, as soon as they show the video, then we have these retargeted banner ads, similar to this one here. And this particular one is really captivating. People love this size for some reason. And they get that on their phone, or they get that on their, I'm sorry, let's go back real fast. Oops, how do I go back? There we go. These are just 10 of the stations that they might go on to. So like Lifetime, NBA TV. Crunchyroll is a...
Anime?
Anime, yes, thank you. Yes, it's very big. It's a very big TV, streaming TV, yes, thing. So, pardon me. But it's very big. It's very big. And so those are just some of them. But so after they go on there, they might, if they go back onto Crunchyroll, they might get this on there, this retargeted banner ad. They might get it on their telephone or their phone. They might get it on their iPad. 3.5 million impressions delivered. Click-through rate, that means when they click it and it goes to our website, 0.29%. That's 3 times the average. This has continued to duplicate month after month. Total clicks driven to Explore Cochise, 10,000. So it's really an amazing program. Herman Global will be launching this project I appreciate your time, by the way. Herman Global will be launching this project the beginning of June, so the beginning of next month. It is a birding and biking, road, gravel, mountain. They are both separate mini projects or initiatives. It's content development, distribution, deployment, newsletter distribution, custom social media posts. It has national and international reach, so we're doing this with the UK and German translation. The UK translation was very difficult. And project management, enhanced distribution. So it has content creation. What we did is we did mini logos, so you can see the 2 mini logos we did there for Bike Cochise, Bird Cochise. It has stories specific to birding, specific to biking. A Bike Cochise microsite, which means it's only 3 pages long and it links to our Explore Cochise site. Stories, video, microsites, and then of course the digital marketing strategy. Here is a sample of the microsite, and just to give you an idea of what some of those stories and itineraries are like, and tracking the Trogon is on there just for you. So here is the biking video, so let's let that get a little bit set. Okay, let's see if we can grab it.
It's time to hit the road. Stretch your legs and get those wheels spinning. Take a ride through Cochise County to explore dramatic Arizona
Chip sealing
scenery
on that
and
road.
enjoy delightfully mild
Pretty
weather. Choose exhilarating mountain trails through canyons, over ridge tops, and down steep rocky trails. Embark down endless blissful miles of hard-packed gravel roads that wind through native grasslands and ghost towns. If pavement is more your thing, tour peaceful ribbons of highway that connect some of Arizona's most character-rich towns. Enjoy well-earned food and drink at delicious local eateries. Experience the enthusiastic cycling culture. And get in some relaxation at the many exciting attractions when your legs are ready for a break. Bring your wheels to Cochise County any time of the year and hit the trails, pavement, or gravel for a grand bicycle adventure.
And that is our Bike Cochise video. So how can you help? You can follow us and share posts from our Facebook, which is Explore Cochise, our Instagram, which is also Explore Cochise, our YouTube, which you just search for Explore Cochise. And on your own social media posts, you can hashtag Explore Cochise or get real in Cochise County. Of course, please register for the Band Wango Passport and encourage others to do so. And if you would like, I brought some attractions maps and I have my business cards as well. Do you have any questions?
No, let's get that. I know you mentioned specifically Facebook, but obviously you have other platforms that you. That was my question. I looked at your logo. I saw that you have Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. Because I mean, Facebook's like for old people like me now. My kids are like, my kids don't do Facebook. They do Instagram or Twitter or Twitch or whatever, you know, everything. TikTok, which I don't know if it's TikTok, how long it's going to stay around or not, but. So yeah, I mean, I saw that you have a lot of good Facebook data, but do you track the other data too from the other social sites?
We do. We track Instagram. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for going over all this stuff, and it was really cool to see the ads, and I really appreciate that. And the international reach was really cool, and I'm glad that you guys were able to get that UK translation too. I was really glad to hear that. But yeah, this is really cool. I have some different things that I want to look up, so I really appreciate you coming and sharing this with us.
Thank you. I do really appreciate your time. I apologize for taking so much of it.
No, this was really enjoyable. I didn't realize how much you were doing, and it's really impressive. And I like that you were featuring local athletes, and we have celebrities in our room. So yeah, thank you for all the work you're doing to bring more attention to our county and here in Sierra Vista, because we're all benefiting from that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, I have some of these for you in my business cards in case you do come up with questions. I'm more than happy to address them for you.
Thank you so much. And now we'll go to,
Oh yeah, we got more stuff.
yes ma'am, item Charlie, 2024 balanced budget presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As promised, we've had a little more time to work on the budget, and so we're bringing back the changes that have taken place in the general funds since 2 weeks ago when we presented the balanced budget at that point, and then the rest of the funds, the special revenue funds and the enterprise funds. So this is just the precursor to getting your books on Friday, and Jen's working very, very hard on that. And then we have your one-on-one budget meetings the week after. So as usual, I expect you to spend your Memorial Day weekend reading the budget book. So
Will do.
We know Jen's working hard because when we walked by, I think the mayor said, "Hey, Jen," and she's like, like turning through pages and typing. Keep it up, Jen.
yes, we cut off changes as of last week, so we'll still be able to make changes, but the book had to get done, so we'll just be tracking what changes happen and let you know about those after. But Jen had to get a book done for you guys, so. All right, so we're going to go through the highlights of everything. Here's where your total budget ended up for the time being, $168,657,775. I expect that number will probably change by your tentative budget vote, but it will be approximately around this number here. So the general fund, here's where we ended up after 2 weeks ago, and the changes that we made, and we keep talking about the budget as a process, and it is definitely a process. We gave you our projected numbers to start with, and then we refine and refine and refine and refine those numbers almost right up into the point where we actually propose the tentative budget to you. So these are the changes that have been made since 2 weeks ago. So I think Chuck has mentioned it, but we got some really unfortunate news on revenue after we met last, and we have rolled our projected TPT increase back to 3% from 4%. March came in at 0.11% over the previous year. So that was, of course, not good news at all. And so to be conservative, we rolled that number back, which meant we decreased the revenue by about $251,000. At the same time, though, as I said at the last meeting, we're constantly going through all of our revenue lines to make sure that we are tracking close to our actuals, that our projections are on. And so we did make some additional adjustments, though, to franchise fees, building permits, labor charges, and parts and fluids. Just tracking the actuals since the last meeting, where it looks like they're going, and we did revise those up from the last meeting. Also, in our process of making sure that all of the details are captured, it's also the time to look at procurement is checking like every week right now what the status is of vehicles, projects, and so on. So we figured out what vehicles needed to be carried over for next year, and so that's the $848,000 are all the vehicles that will be carried over. There's a small change in personnel that we wanted to point out, even though it's small. We have some restructuring going on in finance, and then tourism and communications, tourism shifting to economic development, and communications division separating out and going to the city manager's department. Small impact from that change. One of the other changes we did after reviewing all the projects to continue over for next year, we had the Fab Avenue design budgeted under community development. Since council gave the direction to move forward with developing that as a park, we're going to shift that out of operations and maintenance to a parks capital account for development. And you'll also see, we've also talked about, we need to update the parks master plan now and add Fab Avenue as a future park to that plan. So you'll see those actions over the next few months too. The companion to that is we also have to add Fab and Fry, or the Fab Avenue survey and design, the matching amount to carryover projects further down the list. And the number of carryover vehicles we have, when you think about how large that vehicle list was, we actually got most of them in, which we had just over $3 million in vehicles ordered this year. So that was pretty good news. A few of the things, we knew the tractors and mowers would take a while. Ambulances, unfortunately, are taking about 2 years. So those we expect in hopefully next spring. And then the Fire Silverados, the two of them, they're actually in. They're just at the outfitters, so we'll be seeing those soon, just probably in July.
Excuse me, sorry. Because you were talking about updating the parks master plan, the parks that will be added within Tribute, will those ultimately have to be added into the plan also?
Yes.
Okay.
But it will be, and it won't, Castle and Cook will be constructing them and conveying them to the city, so it probably won't be until after they're finished.
Okay.
And then the other thing we do is we look at carryover projects, the final bullet on that list, since we're proposing the construction of the Animal Control Center construction next year. We have spent money on the design already, so we reduce the carryover by that much since we've already spent it. The Highway User Revenue Fund budget, or HER fund, was especially fun this year. So this is where we ended up. The significant amount in the capital requests, once again, is for our proposed grant projects, which are at the bottom of the list, 2 RAISE grant and an MPDG grant projects, which tends to inflate that number, but it is lower than last year. The other projects on here and some of the newer ones, Buffalo Soldier Trail Extension has been on since the beginning. The North Garden construction and North Garden design. I understand the project is the design is about 95% complete right now, so we hope to be finishing that up in about the next month. This will go out to bid with construction hopefully happening right after monsoons are over, so pretty good timing. We've budgeted $1.5 million for annual street maintenance again this year. We were able to do that last year as well. The project listed as street project, what we'll probably do with that, our highest priority street project right now is reconstruction of Martin Luther King Parkway between Avenida Escuela and Highway 90, right there in front of Walmart and Lowe's. So the proposed cost of that, or the estimated cost of that, I'm sorry, is about $1.6 million. At the time we were putting this together, we didn't quite have $1.6 million, so we just kind of bookmarked that. But as more information is coming in, and these are some of the things you'll see by the time we get to our big budget presentation, your tentative budget, it looks like we should be able to squeeze that in with the way a few other projects are turning out. Like, we did budget $1.5 million for annual street maintenance this year. The bids came in at about $1.2 million, but that project is ongoing right now, so we don't know how much is left at the end of that. Our staff also applied for a SMART Fund grant, which would reimburse us for the cost of the North Garden design, which is about $219 million. So we think after all these things shake out, we should be able to just go ahead and budget for the MLK construction or reconstruction.
We hope it's 219 million.
Oh, the design.
219,000. Yeah, 219 million would be great, but no, 219,000. Sorry. A few other things that were added to this budget. a bucket truck, one vehicle to carry over. The $4,023,000 BST reconstruction phase 1, that is a federal appropriation request that has made it through the first round of approval for our representative and 2 senators' offices. So we are hopeful on that. Even though it's $4 million, that will construct about 3,000 feet or 1/6 of the repairs needed. So first step. Theater Drive, $1.8 million. That is a state appropriation to construct the improvements on Theater Drive. That was a project submitted by the MPO. We'll be working with the county over the next year on that project. It's about 70% county-owned, 30% city-owned. And then finally, the 3 major grants that staff will be pursuing in streets infrastructure for next year. All right, the Local Transportation Assistance Fund, or LTAF. So about half of these, as I said at our last meeting, are carryover projects, but we wanted to give you a list of what the major, primarily, well, these are all grant funded. They're a little out of order. So if you go down the list, the first pedestrian walkway connection dash construction carryover project for $1.2 million is the second group of projects there on the right. So from South Carmichael down to solar lights, sidewalk, street light, curb and gutter improvements. The next one down, the connectivity and safety projects, $2.5 million. That was an FTA grant, is the first list on the right-hand side. And then the multi-use path 5307 ADOT project for $2.5 million at the very bottom is the one right across from that, the third down on the list. Multi-use paths from Oakmont and El Camino Real, and then on the bypass from 7th to Coronado and Coronado to Campus Drive. All right, our grants fund. First project, we got some disappointing news earlier this week, potentially disappointing news. So the replacement of the VHF radio system for the PD, which would have been a carryover item, the funding was coming through DEMA, and Chief got a letter earlier this week that DEMA, state DEMA, is putting a hold on awarding those grant funds because of the funds the state is spending related to Title 42 impacts. So we are hopeful that money will still come through, but we are not sure at this moment. We'll continue to budget for it, though. We have 2 other carryover projects, Garden Canyon Linear Park and St. Andrews, and Soldier Creek Park. Soldier Creek is a CDBG project. And then the last 3 projects, disc golf, storage at Veterans Park Sports Complex, and the Arizona Diamondbacks grant. Laura has been working hard on a partnership for that one to go after that grant this year.
So, the disc golf improvements, what is that? What? I know we had that park with, actually, is it like the what do you call it? Are we replacing the baskets?
So it's,
Are we?
it's a lot of things.
Ms. Wilson
I mean, it
wants
must be. It's
to
$50,000.
chime in.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey. Yes, there's a lot of improvements that we want to do as far as beautifying and updating and replacing the baskets. But in addition to that, we're also looking at a potentially second location and expanding disc golf in the community. And we have a lot of partnerships. The disc golf community is extremely active, and so we're hoping that we can stretch these dollars. But it's through communications with the local groups. There's 2 very active groups, and then and there's a lot of potential interest. So we're actually looking at a way to potentially create disc golf in the West End in some way.
Nice.
And we're currently doing some research, and we have a potential partnership with the Fort as well. So that's kind of up in the air, but this will give us some resources to do that.
And it's for at least 2 locations.
We're hoping for 2. We have 1 location.
Right, I know about that one.
Yes, yes.
So it's
And
not just to fix up that one, it'll be at least 2.
We're hoping, yes.
You keep saying we're hoping, okay.
We're in research right now. We're in
Okay.
research.
Well,
But
that's
we're
great.
finding that
Okay.
disc golf is very affordable to do things with, so
Okay, cool.
we're optimistic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our airport fund, 2 generator replacements. The NEPA study and admin fees would be a study that is required for the 203-acre conveyance as we continue to work on that project. Airport utility installation grant, that is our DSIP grant for this year. That would be the sewer connection out at the airport. And then the airport master plan update, that would also be grant funded through the FAA, mostly.
And what is the Fort's partnership with that airport master plan when it comes to that part and the funding and stuff like that?
Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Rodriguez, they won't be paying for the grant. We're including them on ours. But the FAA kicks in how much, Sharon?
FAA kicks in about 91%, and then it's about 4.5% to the city and the other 4.5% to the state of Arizona.
Okay.
So it's a pretty small amount. All right, then the Capital Improvements Fund, we finalized which projects will have a short carryover, which Schneider Electric projects will have a short carryover. That project will be wrapping up here in just a few months. A lot of work that's been done, but these are the final 5 projects that will wrap up last. We carried over the design for Roadrunner Park to get that going in the next year. The acquisition of land beside Fire Station number 2, and then the $500,000 grant match for a LWCF grant application to run the sewer line from OICC down to Domingo Paez, construct bathrooms, a small parking lot on Tacoma, and RV parking down near the pump track. All right, our sewer fund. Not many projects here. A couple reasons for that. 2 small carryover projects. We are looking at, we're double checking on, we have an emergency repair that is in design right now on a sewer line that would cross under Highway 90. And so it's in design. We need to figure out how much it costs, and then I need to get with David and figure out how we're going to budget with that. So you will most likely see that in your final budget. The other reason that we primarily have just the wastewater master plan budgeted in here is because that is such a complex and large plan to tell us where we need to go in the future and what improvements need to be made given the growth of the city and so on. We're going to hold off on planning for any improvements. When that is finished, though, it probably also most likely means a rate increase. Things have been tight in the sewer fund for a number of years as the city has grown, but we also need to think about our future improvements given what that master plan tells us. So please expect that to be coming up in the future and that conversation to probably start next year as this plan starts to wrap up. Finally, the refuse fund budget with a few carryover items and the trash can cleaner. So not very many capital projects for the refuse fund for next year. So your schedule, once again, your books by this Friday, one-on-one council meetings. If you haven't scheduled your meeting yet, there's still plenty of time. Your special budget work sessions will start on June 12th, and your tentative budget adoption, which will set the cap on your budget for the next year, is June 22nd. July 27th is your public hearing on your property tax levy and the final budget adoption, and your final action is August 10th with your property tax levy adoption. And I'd be happy to answer any final questions.
Questions, comments? So we still have Delta and Echo. Want to postpone those?
You can if you so desire, Mr. Mayor.
Postpone those?
It's up to you.
Press on.
Fine.
Oh, the leave commission meeting starts in 15 minutes, so.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Commission meeting.
Put it on the
Postpone.
next work session.
Roger that.
All
So
right,
we'll
thank-
postpone Delta and Echo.
Oh,
And-
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. He might not have a quorum or, I don't know.
I don't know,
You have to have 3 to have a meeting. If they don't show, you have no meeting.
right?
So it sounds like you're probably not going to have a youth commission meeting today.
Okay. Trish is there?
Trish is there, so when Sophia comes, she
All right. Okay.
can reschedule it.
Yeah, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
All right. All right. No objections. We'll press on to Delta. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So, I'm pleased to present to you your draft fiscal year 2024-2025 strategic plan. You received both the draft with the notes and the red lines that our consultant submitted, and then the draft that I put together for you to clean up the consultant's draft and make it coherent and full sentences and so on. So the only one that I really want to point out that I took a little bit of liberty with because it didn't really fit was there was a project in the consultant document to evaluate electric vehicles for the city fleet. It didn't fit on any of the priorities that.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted, before we get too much into this one, since we have 2 council members that are not here, I don't know if maybe this one in particular, we might want to wait until we have everybody to be able to share their comments.
How do you feel?
Well, I know we're gonna look at this a few more times
Yeah.
before we approve it.
Okay.
So they should have.
It should have.
Yeah.
I know they'll be watching the meetings
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Okay, that's, I just
But
wanted to
that's
just,
that's good
yeah.
to think of.
sorry.
No, it's,
So back to 7-3.
So, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Roger.
So, the way I fit in electric vehicles was that under priority 7, which is enhancing and improving infrastructure that supports economic development, in your current plan, it mentioned electric vehicles and electric charging infrastructure. So since council had spoken about possibly expanding electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the city, I included that and the feasibility of electric vehicles for the city's fleet. So anything in this plan can be changed. The plan is not final until council has consensus that it's final, and it can take you as long as it takes until you are happy with your plan to make this plan final. So with that, I'm happy to take any comments and changes and updates.
well, I'll go ahead and voice my opinion on your choice to put it the EV. Number 7. Where is it? Well, it sounds like it's in the right place. If it's under economic development or economic and community development, I all of a sudden can't find it.
It's on page 3.
Thank you. All right. But I remember economic development and community prosperity. But that makes sense there because people will seek them out who are visiting. So placing them strategically is gonna help with that.
we'll review, make changes. Our next council session, come back with changes that you made. Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you, ma'am. We'll proceed to item number Echo. That's City Manager.
All right, thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of the council. We present to you the March-April 2023 Council Executive Report. In looking at the message, things I want to highlight today, obviously, as you're aware, Deputy Chief Cosmider will be retiring from the police department on Friday afternoon, 3:30. So, of course, everyone's invited to attend that and celebrate his 28 years of service to the department and the city. So he will certainly be missed. Of course, the process is now started for promotional opportunities in the police department, starting with Commander Heiser's promotion to Deputy Chief. Commander Heiser is here in the audience, and the first of many meetings, Chris, you'll be attending here. So,
Congratulations.
So that will be going on, and of course there'll be other retirements, including Chief Thrasher's coming up in July, and that'll result in a number of changes to the management structure of the police department. So that process is ongoing right now as we speak. Of course, I mentioned Judy's retirement next week, so we'll be restructuring that area and moving the tourism component with economic development under Mr. Boone's direction at that point in time. So you'll see those reflected in your budget book when you get it this Friday, and read about it over the weekend, like I know you're planning to do. So that will be going on as well. Of course, we highlighted a lot on tourism today, and we have two lines of effort there. Obviously, the internal one focusing on Sierra Vista, which Judy presented, and then our regional efforts with the Cochise County Tourism Council, which Kate spearheads for us there. So in the report, you'll see a number of different graphs and data points showing where visitors are coming from and what they're doing with all the the software enhancements that we've made in terms of being able to collect data. So please take a look at those, because I think they're very fascinating and show a lot. So that's really what I want to focus on now. It appears that the CCOM situation has settled out somewhat with hiring, and we now have the challenge, as we mentioned last time, of getting those folks trained, but we now have staffing numbers up to where they should be. Police department, we're also having some success in hiring. If you folks wouldn't leave so fast, we might even get caught up. But nonetheless, things have improved on that front as well. So with that, staff is here, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions on the report?
Comments?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together. It's always really great to go through this. One of the things I wanted to mention was the museum's Jurassic Wonders exhibit, and that I thought it was really great that there was a podcast with Mr. Hyde about on the Let's Talk Sierra Vista podcast, talking with Mr. Ron Hyde. I was able to go out to the exhibit, and when Mr. Hyde was there, and he's super enthusiastic about this. I guess he's been collecting fossils since he's like 5 years old. So it's really cool if you ever get a chance to talk to him personally, or see the museum, the exhibit out there. It's super cool. So it was really cool to see that, see those things there. And then it was really great to have the tourism presentations tonight. And as you both were talking, I remember some of the things that were in this in this report, and that was really cool to kind of connect those dots and to kind of have that. So I really appreciate having all that information together, especially tonight. And then I had a question on the library circulation to see the change from 2021, 2022, and 2023. I just was wondering if that was due to different formats or different programs, or kind of what that shift was for more. If
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Landry, I would really have to go back and ask Emily if she knows any kind of data or what would cause that. The library is like a living organism. It's, you know, it ebbs and flows, and people use it, and then they'll kind of drop off, then they'll come back. You know, we have a fee-free library now, and so nobody has to stay away because they owe us 50 cents for a book. But really, just like within interlibrary loaning and things like that, it just changes. I don't know if we can pinpoint anything, but I can certainly ask and get back to you.
Okay, cool. I was just curious, because it's always great to see that more people are reading and more people are checking things out. So I really happy to see that those numbers increase. I was kind of curious about that. And then in the community development area, I thought it was really cool to see the breakdown of that, about some of the different partnership programs and the neighborhood partnership grant, and how how it's helping people in the community, and how some of the different organizations are doing different things. So as far as like the Gifted Creations group and business, and then the Sierra Vista Rotary Club, wanting to do the landscape improvement. So I really appreciated that in there, and kind of the breakdown to kind of see that. So I definitely encourage everybody out there to take a look at this if you haven't. It has a lot of really great information.
I'm particularly interested in the Vista Transit, the Spike. Tried to get on the bus last week, and it was crowded. So doing great work. The free rides. So
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would say the free ride thing is probably working out, and actually the route changes seem to be working out very well for us. We're looking at doing a study of the system to see if we can make further improvements after that. But so far, the changes, which seem to start out in a negative fashion, have
Right.
really turned out very positively. So, Sharon, I don't know if you have anything else to add. So.
No, I mean, sometimes these circumstances, which initially can seem really difficult, lead to some innovation and some really positive improvements. And I'm interested to see what that Spike does through the summer months.
Yes, ma'am.
And one month does not a trend make, but it was certainly an encouraging month, and we will take that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. And the study is that's what starts off the transit master plan, and will that tell us if we have to offer more routes, or what does that?
Yeah, the industry is changing, and, we have the microservice that we're doing now, which seems to be very popular. So hopefully our consultants will take a look at, what's working in the industry and changes, and see if that might be applicable to us. So it might result in routing changes or changes to how we're providing the service, and so there's a lot of different things that could come out of that. So.
But is it like the parks plan where it comes back to us for approval and we have?
Yes.
Okay. So then we'll just. I did love all the data that came from Placer. That's fascinating. And surprising a little bit, because I guess maybe I do things differently. I'm like, why would they go here after going to the park? That doesn't, like, why is that so popular? But I think it's really cool. And the breakdown, too, of the individual events based on the state they came from. Like, how cool to know who likes the Summit Challenge, which state likes the Challenge Summit the best. I think that's really neat. All of it is interesting, and it just says what a big nerd I am, that I enjoyed all the extra data in here, and I was like, wow, look at all. So, but thanks for taking the time to put it all in here.
Mr. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, we talked a little bit about the strategic plan and some of the emphasis on events and certainly what Laura's group is doing, for events. And obviously, we've had a lot of success with it, so much so that lots of people want to have events now.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we only have so many parks and buildings and people. So as I've mentioned to a couple of you, I do believe we need to have some sort of an event policy. For example, the council determines that, you're going to do Veterans Day and you're going to do 4th of July. We're not expecting to make money on those. They're community events, and we assist in the 4th of July's case with the Rotary Club and that kind of thing. Then we have events like the Wine and Spirits Festival that's coming up this weekend, and Oktoberfest, where we're actually trying to recoup the dollars and even maybe make a little bit of money on those events. But we budget for them, and they enjoy the support of the council. And now we have a number of other events and requests for events, and we need some sort of a policy that determines the community benefit, the level of subsidy or effort that you want to see, budget that you want to see for doing those. So, Laura, I'm going to task you with coming up with that policy and maybe working with the Parks and Rec Department or Commission to present something for council to review and approve in terms of how we're going to go about with those in the future.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea. And are we also, I remember Dr. Landry had brought up making it so we can access all these things in one easy to find location, all the policies and stuff. Is that how you asked about it? I felt like.
The strategic plan?
Yeah, or is it?
It was
Yeah, I guess we'll just, was it in there?
well, I don't think it was in this one. I think
Is it part of the strategic plan, that request? Okay. Then, yeah, that's probably what. Is that gonna, I guess that'll just be part of that. Okay.
Well, we'll have to figure out how to do that.
We can maybe put it in
first.
there.
Yeah. But
Under the strategic plan. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Chuck, Mr. Patuchak, that's a great idea, because we had spoke because of so many requests coming to the council and the city that this is how the city used to support, so you should offer that support again.
then it's hard to say no to the next one that comes in wanting all
Yes.
that.
So it's great to produce a policy in place so we can follow that and don't have any. That's what we used to do, but yeah.
So,
all right, thank you, sir.
I think Laura would appreciate having a policy to work off of too. So,
all righty, and we'll go to item F, report on recent trips, meetings and future meetings.
So, nothing currently on your work session schedule for next time, Mr. Mayor. We're still focusing on budget, although there may be one from the Economic Development Division. We'll get that on your next agenda.
All right, future items, discussion items, got that? Anything from the council reports? No. All right. Nothing else? All right, thank you. With that, we are adjourned.